Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 303. Weekly little get together. We talk about recent gaming news. As always, your host, Stephen Brown, and going at solo tonight, the co host needs some rest and relaxation after his very busy week at work. However, we do have some news to get through tonight. We have to go over Sparticus, that big PlayStation Live service subscription based thing that they have been rumored to be having for months. It was finally revealed today, and it's kind of meh. You decide. Tell me what you think. We also have a few major delays in gaming as well, and Netflix's gaming division grows a little bit larger every day. But first, I want everyone here to know that this is an audience interactive podcast. So if you're watching us live here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, or later over on YouTube, BitChute, Rumble, whatever various media platforms I slap this up on, feel free to join the conversation with any questions, comments, concerns, etc. you might have. Just try to keep them germane to the topics on hand. I want to know what you guys think, especially on things like this upcoming PlayStation story, because I'm not enthused about it, but I want to know what you all think. And of course, if you like what you see here, you know what to do when it comes to subs, likes, follows, bits, all that good stuff. It varies from platform to platform, but you all know what creators want. So, let's go ahead and get into this first thing right here. I've already alluded to it. There it is on the PlayStation Plus blog. An all-new PlayStation Plus launches in June with 700 plus games and more value than ever. At least that's what the blog here is saying. This, ladies and gentlemen, is finally what that Project Sparticus is supposed to be. A merging of PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now, and that's it. I really thought there'd be a little bit more from here. I was speculating maybe adding Crunchyroll services to this as well, considering that they were starting to merge all that into one company and that Sony owns now essentially all mainstream anime streaming services in America, but it's left off of here. I might have been a little too hopeful for what we're getting, but let's not necessarily poison the well at the gate. Let me show you what's coming in it, and then you all tell me what you think about it. This June, we're bringing together PlayStation Plus and PlayStation Now into an all-new PlayStation Plus subscription service that provides more choice to customers across 3 membership tiers globally. So this is going to be what you already are paying for, and then 2 additional tiers on top. That first one, PlayStation Plus Essential. Notice that they keep the PlayStation Plus branding on all of these tiers. I get it, branding is important, but it sounds a little redundant when you say PlayStation Plus Essential and then the others following up. The benefits to this one is, well, exactly what you're getting with PlayStation Plus. The 2 monthly games, for the occasional discount, cloud storage for saved games, online multiplayer access. Okay, it is what it is. If you like what you get to keep what you got, and it is going to be coming in at the same prices as before. $10, $40, and $100 respectively for a month, quarter, or year. Here's where the additions come in. PlayStation Plus Extra. This one here is going to have all the stuff found in Essentials, as well as a catalog of up to 400 asterisks of the most enjoyable PlayStation 4 and 5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party partners. Games in the extra tier are downloadable for play. I do have a couple questions about this. One, I noticed that there is no game list on this. It doesn't really have one on here. So is it going to be some good stuff, or is it just going to be like 20 versions of Just Dance that you're adding on this 400 plus games? Also, what we do know is that big PlayStation hits, like say the newest Horizon that just recently launched, won't be day and date on this service. Unlike what Microsoft does with its games of gold, you will have to wait who knows how long before those start appearing on here. Jim Ryan does actually address the reasoning why they're not following the Microsoft route on these, and I will get into that with his interview later on. But if you want to get into this, which comes kind of like I don't want to say a bastardized version of Games of Gold. Just think Games of Gold excluding the big Microsoft titles. That's kind of what you're working with here. That will be $15 a month, $40 quarterly, and $100 yearly as well. Now that pricing, if this is to be believed, Oh, 60 yearly. I think you know what? I read the wrong thing. 10, 25 quarterly, and 60 yearly. Premium here would be 15, 40, and 100 yearly. That's why I was kind of confused when I was mentioning it earlier. I think my eyes just crossed and I was doing the wrong thing. Rocco, how you doing? Good to have you here. And then finally, for the final tier, PlayStation Plus Premium. All the stuff we added before, plus an additional 340 games, including PlayStation 3 games available via cloud streaming, a catalog of classic games available both streaming and download options from the PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and PSP generations. No PlayStation Vita on here. The touch controls, I'd imagine, would make porting those a little bit difficult. Even things like, say, Golden Abyss, which is arguably one of the more recognizable Vita games, would have a problem carrying over to a console. What are the asterisks for? That is a good question. Nothing untoward that I'm seeing on here, at the very least there, Rocco. Cloud streaming for the PlayStation 3, that's kind of rough. However, I get it. The PlayStation 3 is a nightmare to develop for, and I can only imagine that even Sony, who made the goddamn thing, have issues transferring that cell technology to anything modern. It is disappointing, however, to see that it is cloud streaming and not something like the Xbox or anything like that. As far as original PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PSP generations go, once again, I need to see the list. I want to see the list of games on there. Does it include everything from Activision, EA, like the original Medal of Honor or Tony Hawk Pro Skater? Are those going to be on here? Activision Blizzard's getting gobbled up by Microsoft. It'll be kind of interesting to see if those games will show up on here. And they had a lot of them on the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. That doesn't mean much to me until I see the list. And even then, I doubt that list is going to go beyond that. However, I think the better part of this deal isn't so much that as much as the cloud streaming access for all of it that can be streamed onto PlayStation 4, 5, and PC. That, I think, is the main reason why someone would want to really get into it, is for the streaming on different devices. I don't know. This doesn't feel like it's worth the price, which is $18 monthly, $50 quarterly, or $120 a year. It feels, I don't know, that extra $20 doesn't really feel like it's going to be that much, especially since we don't know what's going to be on that backwards compatibility list. And keep in mind, this is Sony charging you for backwards compatibility. That is what this is. Let's be 100% certain here. And I just don't know if I care all that much. I still have my PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and all the games that go along with it. And I'm reasonably certain. Never mind. I'm not going to go down that list. I was going to go down a bit of a rabbit hole, but I'm not going to, because I can't back it up, so I'm not going to. Overall, what do you all think about this Sparticus package? I just don't. It feels kind of lame. Like this tier right here, this PlayStation Plus Extra, should not exist. It should either be PlayStation Essential or PlayStation Plus Premium for $100. They should either give it all to you or none of it to you. Breaking it down in this weird extra $20 a month for backwards compatibility, and not even necessarily on everything that's out there, because there's way more than 340 PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1, and PSP games. It just feels light. It really does feel light. The streaming on other devices, okay, that's cool. If you wanted to make a third tier, you should add the streaming on other devices thing. But at the end of the day, I can't shake the fact that this feels like we're paying a yearly fee for backwards compatibility. I don't get it. I don't get it. Stuffy Twitchy says this is one of those Harvard Business Review questions asking, quote, what were they thinking, end quote. Rocco Gaming V says, if Satori was here, what would he say about it? Well, I don't know what Satori would say about it. Probably not much, because he wasn't with Sony. Stuffy Twitchy, what were they thinking? This comes down, so I think we know what they're thinking, and I want to get into this article coming up here from gamesindustry.biz with Jim Ryan, because he kind of gives a glimpse into what he is thinking about it. And I do agree with him on some stances and highly disagree with him on others. Right here, this is from GameIndustry.biz. All links to these stories, by the way, will be provided in the links down below if you want to take a look at them. This is quite long, by the way. I'm going to keep it down to the relevant parts that I feel are necessary, but I encourage you all to read it on your own time later. Sony's new PlayStation Plus subscription offerings boast online multiplayer, access to hundreds of PS4 and PS5 games, streaming, retro titles, and game trials. But what it doesn't include, unlike its main competitor, are the new first-party games that launch in the service at the same time as they come out at retail. When Games Industry asked PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan about this, he said the following. We feel like you're in a good, virtuous cycle with the studios where the investment delivers success, which enables yet more investment, which delivers yet more success. We like that cycle, and we think our gamers like that cycle. Yet, excuse me, my throat dries out. In terms of putting our own games into the service, or any service, upon their release, as you well know, this is not a road that we've gone down in the past. And it's not a road that we're going to go down with this new service. So this is Ryan coming out saying, yeah, we're just not going to be putting our new games on this service, and don't expect it to happen anytime soon. We feel as if we were to do that with the games that we make at PlayStation Studios, that virtuous cycle will be broken. I really take umbrage with his use of the term virtuous cycle. It's not virtuous. It's not. It's a business cycle, dude. You aren't some paragons of morality, so let's stop pretending that you are. Back to Ryan's quote. The level of investment that we need to make in our studios would not be possible, and we think the knock-on effect of quality of the games that we would make would not be something that gamers want. That I do agree with. Because regardless if you like Horizon or not, compare its technical fidelity and just overall prowess to the most recent Halo, for example. I think that there is a lot more there. It feels way more polished than the newest Halo did. I think Gran Turismo 7 is way more polished than for Horizon. I will get into my issues of Gran Turismo 7, however. We'll get into that later on. So don't think that I'm giving them a pass or even saying it's better than Forza Horizon. I just think there's a level of polish on Sony first-party stuff that Microsoft games tend not to have. And their Games Pass thing might be part of it because they know that they're only going to make so much on it, whereas the potential for Sony sales technically uncapped, I guess, or Sony profit rather is technically uncapped based on how many people buy it. Without going into too many details on that. But that is why Jim Ryan, who is the CEO of Sony, or of PlayStation rather, isn't putting the games on this service. Because he thinks it'll hinder the quality of the Sony product. Now, is that corporate speak or is that actually what he believes? Well, I tend to think that Jim Ryan really isn't a gamer at all. So I tend to lean toward the corporate speak side of things. But that I'm just letting you know what his explanation for it is. Let's see. Chat saying day one Game Pass doesn't seem to be affecting Xbox game sales. I'd have to read up on that. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I haven't read anything about it because Microsoft is very stingy with revealing any sales data on Game Pass. What we know about Game Pass is through having to take like trophies and random sales charts that don't count digital. We're just kind of guessing on what they're saying about it. We don't actually have hard numbers on it. And keep in mind that Phil Spencer is very vague on whether or not Games Pass is profitable. He keeps using the term sustainable when he asks if it's profitable. If it was profitable, he'd say profitable. Remember one of my maxims on this show. If the numbers are good, a company doesn't shut up about them. So if Game Pass sales, like actual raw dollar amounts, was good for Microsoft, they would be mentioning that it was good. If it would have their stock go up, they would be singing it nonstop. The fact that they're not singing it sings volumes on its own. I'm not saying that Microsoft's going out of business. I'm not saying that Game Pass is a bad thing for them. What I am saying is I highlight it as profitable. Let's see. Xbox is brilliant with businesses, acquires studios, doesn't make the titles exclusive, but gives the people incentives to switch to Xbox for Game Pass or pay full price to play it. They are making titles exclusive. Microsoft has been very clear in saying Starfield, for example, is not coming to PlayStation. That is a Microsoft exclusive. Back to the article here. Sorry. Let my voice rest up a little bit here. Actually, I need to mute myself for 2 seconds. If you're watching this later, I apologize, but I don't edit this stuff, so what are you going to do? Let's talk about Ryan on retro games. This is something that I saw that I want to bring up because I was highly, highly bothered by it. Let's see if I can find it here. Where the hell is it? Here it is. Here it is. So one of those tiers on the PlayStation Plus, I think it was the premium one, came with access to PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 1 stuff. This is him. This is Ryan's opinion on it. Obviously, it's not for everyone, which is why it's in the premium tier. But there are people like me who have been around forever, who have played those games and loved these games 20-odd years ago. Or maybe it's the people whose parents rave on about these games and want to try them for themselves. Once we can share that lineup with the world, I think we're going to have a lot of interest in that, end quote. This is a fucking lie. Jim Ryan came out and said, why do people want to play those old games? They're old. He has no interest in video game preservation or retro gaming or anything like that. Furthermore, notice how he talks. He doesn't say, oh yeah, people loved Jumping Flash or Crash Bandicoot or Metal Gear. Let's stick it to even just Sony franchises, right? Siphon Filter or Wipeout. No, he just goes, people who have played those games and loved those games 20-odd years ago. Which ones, bro? You're the head of PlayStation. Can't you not at least say Ape Escape? Come on, man. This is your company. This is how I know he's just detached from the thing he is in charge of. He doesn't care about like games at all. He just cares about the fact that it's a business and he's trying to run it like a business. And he does not know how to interact with games press when it comes to it. He needs more media training on what his franchises are. Because he could have said that. And he didn't. That was a missed opportunity to try to build up hype, and he didn't. He didn't. And it's so annoying. Now, subscription services. This is one of the reasons why I feel the Sparticus is so weak, and it comes straight from Ryan. I'm trying to track it down here. Here we go. Jim Ryan on subscription services. Subscription has certainly grown in importance over the course of the past few years. Our PlayStation Plus subscriber number has grown from 0 in 2010 to 48 million now. And we anticipate, for our services, that we see further growth for the subscriber number. But the medium of gaming is very different to music and linear entertainment. And I don't think we'll see it go to the levels we see Spotify and Netflix. He doesn't think the subscription service Microsoft is doing is going to be successful for him in the end. And he might be right. This is one of those things where I don't want to necessarily give him credit for, but he might be right on that based on the fact that Phil Spencer just refuses to say that it's profitable for Microsoft. He probably can't legally say it because he is bound by certain SEC laws and all that stuff where he can't say something is profitable and when it's not, because now he's lying to shareholders. So he uses a lot of weasel words to kind of sidestep the issue here, whereas Ryan is just like, I just don't think it's going to work. Which is why this subscription service feels lackluster. It's because I think the only reason why Jim Ryan even signed off on the idea is because he felt pressure to release something in response of Game Pass. Because Game Pass, while it might not be profitable for Microsoft, it is certainly generating a hell of a lot of buzz. And that is some buzz that Jim Ryan, he can't ignore it. You can't. I mean, that's why Nintendo is doing its online subscription shit now. You can't ignore it. You have to at least address it in some way, shape, or form. It just feels like a very half-hearted attempt to address it. This, however, is where Jim Ryan's heart truly lies, and I am highly worried about this. When it comes to the topic of live service games. Some of the live service games that are proving very successful these days, and I'm not restricting this comment to console, they've effectively subscription services in of themselves, and they're very much tailored to the needs of the gamer who loves whatever game they spend hours and hours with month after month after month. That phenomena of the live service game that has, in a very large part, fueled the enormous growth in the gaming industry that we've seen over the last 10 years. I think that trend towards live services will continue, and if you look for a model in our category of entertainment, which supports sustained engagement over a long period of time, live services games arguably fit that bill better than a subscription service. This is what Jim Ryan wants to go all in on. This is why 10 PlayStation games are currently in development right now that have live service elements in there. This is why Gran Turismo 7 is kind of a fucking train wreck right now with its weird microtransactions, essentially, where you have to have millions of dollars in virtual Ryan bucks to buy whatever cars you want, despite the campaign itself only being 20 hours. This is why people were grinding out certain parts of that game over and over and over again, because they were able to find out the fastest way during credits. And then Sony stepped in and patched that out. This is what has me scared for the future of PlayStation games, because I get the distinct feeling that, you know what this sounds like to me? Remember, if you're an older gamer, remember years ago when EA said every game we make will have some form of multiplayer into it. And of course, my go-to example for this would be Dead Space 3, which came with a forced multiplayer mode and crafting elements that you could spend real-world money on to speed up your little robot helper to get you extra items for. And those servers were dead in like 24 hours. How much time and resources are going to be spent on things that are pointless and add nothing to the game other than another avenue to milk the player for money? Jim Ryan is speaking like an EA executive from 10 years ago, and that should terrify everyone who likes Sony when it comes specifically to the big Sony titles. You know the ones I'm talking about: Gran Turismo, Horizon, God of War, Spider-Man. Those big titles. I not everything needs to be a live service, but damned if they're not going to turn everything into a live service. This is one of the reasons why they bought Bungie, by the way, because they want their experience in live services so that way they can use that toward their other games. They're not looking to secure Destiny as an IP for themselves. In fact, Destiny is going to continue on being multi-platform. Anything Bungie makes, including their upcoming, whatever the code name of Bungie's upcoming game is, will probably also be multi-platform. They want that live service experience so they can start shoehorning it into everything. And that really has me concerned. Let's take a look back at chat here real quick. You feel like Jim Ryan said he was the kind of guy that said Netflix is just a fad. Yeah, there was that time a while ago when Blockbuster, I think it was Blockbuster, had the chance to buy Netflix for a song. And they just turned it down because they had that same mentality to it. This motherfucker's going to add NFTs. NFTs have a bad rap right now, and somewhat rightfully so, but I don't think the idea of NFT is going to go away. What's going to happen is that you're just going to see it go through a name change, but there's no way that NFTs aren't going to stick around for the future in gaming. Episodic subscriptions equals reoccurring revenue. Exactly. Battle Pass, everything's on the Battle Pass system. It used to be loot boxes, now it's Battle Pass, seasons. Destiny was big on the seasons. The thing is, I actually kind of like Destiny is a live service game that I actually enjoy playing. That's where the live service model makes sense. I don't want to see a live service model for the next God of War, or the next Horizon. I don't want to see a live service model for Gran fucking Turismo, but it's in there. Last of Us Factions? Maybe you would want a live service for that one, because that's going to be multiplayer focused anyways. And that's going to need some kind of evolving world over time. Yes, agreed. When will they leave? Well, when will they learn to leave well enough alone? 100%. Anyways, that kind of sums up what I guess Project Spartacus is and a lot of Jim Ryan's feelings on the matter. And I am more worried for Sony now than I was in the past. And I don't own an Xbox. I'm not an Xbox fanboy or anything like that. I have a PlayStation 5. If I had to pick between the two consoles, I'm a Sony guy. At the end of the day, I'm a PC personally. At the end of the day, but this really, I don't like what I'm hearing here, and I think you should be rightfully concerned about the future of Sony. If the trend of live services bothers you, you're gonna have a rough few years over at Sony. When will consumers stop buying? Never. Video game fans are terrible at this boycott shit. They just are. Like, for example, let's talk about CD Projekt Red. We all know what happened with Cyberpunk. Everyone got burned with Cyberpunk. How many of those people said that they're never going to buy another CD Projekt Red game again, are going to rush to pre-order The Witcher 4? I'd be willing to bet it's like the 80, 85, 90%. Probably even higher. Because gamers have zero willpower when it comes to this shit. And hey, I admit, guilty as charged sometimes too. I say don't pre-order, but every now and then I break that rule. And I really should stop. All right, enough of this. Let me know what you guys think about Spartacus, about Jim Ryan's comments here, and just anything else going on with the PlayStation ecosystem in light of recent events down below. You can also join our Discord server and leave your thoughts and opinions there as well. Just as I said before, keep them germane to the conversation. Let's move on to the next story here. This is via CNN, a source I don't use all that often. Activision Blizzard says it'll pay $18 million to settle a harassment lawsuit. Activision Blizzard will pay $18 million to settle a lawsuit by the U.S. government agency alleging harassment and discrimination, the firm said Monday. As part of the settlement agreement, which is subject to court approval, Activision Blizzard said it will create an $18 million fund to, quote, compensate and make amends to eligible claimants, end quote. Any remaining amount will either be donated to charities focused on harassment, gender equality, and women in the video game industry, or will be used to create diversity and inclusion initiatives within the company, it added. There is no place anywhere at our company for discrimination, harassment, or unequal treatment of any kind, and I am grateful to the employees who bravely shared their experiences, Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick said in a statement. I remain unwavering in my commitment to make Activision Blizzard one of the world's most inclusive, respectful, and respectful workplaces, he added. The company is also facing a complaint for the National Labor Relations Board filed earlier this month accusing of unfair labor practices, as well as an investigation by the SEC that the company said last week is cooperating with. Those actions are all still pending, and Activision Blizzard said it will, quote, continue to productively engage with regulators, end quote. Okay. I know that this agreement with the federal side of things was argued by the state of California. The state of California did not want the agreement to go through. I think they were hoping for more from the settlement fund, but the federal government, who eventually had control over it, I believe, I am not a lawyer by any stretch of the imagination, ended up saying, no, this is good. We're done here. This still does need to get approved by the court, so it's not a done deal, but honestly, it's probably going to stay like it is. Keep in mind, too, Activision Blizzard is being gobbled up by Microsoft, and I believe that deal is set to go in 2023. So anything that happens from here will probably not affect that buyout. For the most part, that's already been priced in when it comes to the market. As far as the National Labor Relations Board, there was a story not that long ago about how Microsoft said they would not impede any attempts on a union forming at Activision Blizzard. The thing is, though, I just don't think it's going to happen. I know that unionization push has been a big topic in the games industry for at least the past couple of years at this point, and you're starting to see a couple of them pop up. This union will likely be the ABK union, the ABK Workers Alliance, which is Activision Blizzard King. I just don't think they're as powerful or even as popular as they think they are. And my gut would tell me if they were to hold a vote where they wanted to unionize or not, while it would be close, I think they would get defeated. But hey, That's a different story altogether. I did want to point out, though, that it seems like the lawsuits related to the sexual harassment topic specifically coming out of Blizzard and Activision seem to be winding down with a resolution at this point. We got a couple more stories for you here real quick. One of them is, this is one of those things that I don't think people realize how big Netflix actually is. This is from Eurogamer. Netflix acquires Boss Fight Entertainment in its third gaming studio acquisition in 6 months. This latest acquisition comes after the streaming giant acquired Oxenfree developer Night School Studio last September and Stranger Things Puzzle Tales creator Next Games earlier this month. Netflix is really pushing into gaming. It's too big of an industry for Netflix not to dip its toe into it. But if you notice, what they're doing is they're buying these smaller indie studios that tend to have more adventure-based games, stuff you can play on, say, mobile phones and the like. I think Netflix is going to kind of become a competitor, not to Nintendo or Microsoft or Sony. I think they want to become a competitor to Apple when it comes to their mobile gaming divisions. I think Netflix is going to try to curate specific experiences and release, rather than a glut of put whatever you want out there. I think they're going to try to go for a more curated set of video games that people can pay maybe a little bit of an extra from. Right now, they're all been included within the basic Netflix subscription. But let's be honest here, that subscription price goes up quite a bit. And it goes up often, I should say. So they need to add a little bit something extra in there to kind of keep people on there. And I think this might be part of that. Anyways, from a quote from Boss Fight. Boss Fight's mission is to bring simple, beautiful, and fun game experiences to our players whenever they play, said the founders of Boss Fight Entertainment in a statement posted to Netflix's official website. Netflix's commitment to offer ad-free games as part of the member subscriptions enables game developers like us to focus on creating delightful gameplay without worrying about monetization. We couldn't be more excited to join Netflix at this early stage, and we continue to do what we love to do while helping shape the future of Netflix together. Congratulations to Boss Fight, I will say. I'm sure you all got paid rather handsomely, hopefully, for the acquisition of your company. I just don't see Netflix as a gaming company yet, but they are going to get there. They are leaning very heavily into this, and that is going to be part of their plans in the future. That does it for the big news of the week that I wanted to get into. There are a bunch of smaller stories, but none of them felt appropriate at this time. But we do have some major delays for video games that I want to get into. First up, Enlight Games has announced that their upcoming Sons of the Forest, which was supposed to be originally released on May 2022, has now been pushed back to October of 2022. They say that they just want to kind of polish things up a little bit, to be able to deliver our vision of the next step in survival games. So they need a little bit more time to work on it. Also delayed, and this one actually hurts quite a bit, Sefton Hill, head honcho over at Rocksteady, came out to say that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is now spring 2023. They were supposed to be coming out by the end of this year, but it has been delayed yet again. Actually, I don't think it's technically yet again, because we didn't even know this game existed officially until not all that long ago. But it is now 2023, and that is going to mean it's been between 7 to 9 years. I don't know the exact time, but it's been 7 to 9 years, I think 8, since Rocksteady produced a game. That's a long time. So I hope this works out for him. I'm sure it will, because I enjoy what Rocksteady made in the past. But 8 years is a long time to go without releasing anything. And then also, Nintendo producer Eiji Aonuma, forgive me for mispronouncing that name, came out and gave a little 1.5-minute video saying that Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 has been also delayed to spring of 2023. Nintendo was shooting for a 2022 release, but they weren't 100% certain they were going to hit it. It sounds like that is going to get delayed a little bit longer as well. So some major delays on that front. That does it for the news. So let's go ahead and roll into some new releases. We got a couple of them, and I'm looking forward to one or two of them. First coming up, Crusader Kings 3 on the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X. Love, fight, and scheme and claim greatness. Determine your noble house's legacy in the sprawling grand strategy of Crusader Kings 3. Death is only the beginning as you guide your dynasty's bloodline from the rich, larger-than-life simulation of the Middle Ages. This is the console version of the PC game Crusader Kings 3. I really enjoy me some of those Paradox games, and this is no exception, but you have to go into this less looking to win it and more like a chaos simulator. Yes, there are strategies to win it, and there are some people who are really good at it. As for me, I am god-awful at this game. I couldn't tell you why, but I just love watching the insanity that comes when I ended up killing 3 of my brothers, and it turns out I actually can't have any sons, and now there's a succession crisis. And then now my kingdom is broken up into 20 little fiefdoms and they're all murdering each other and I can't start over again. It's that kind of chaos that I'm saying you need to look into. Also coming out this week, Akai on the PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xboxes, Switch, and PC. Fear and anxiety prevail in this darkest tale from Japanese folklore to come to life in this first-person psychological horror game. Set in a feudal era, Akai revolves around the priestess of a shrine struggling to defeat spirits of her past and her present. This really has the hallmarks of an older survival horror game. I'm reminded a lot of the PlayStation 2 title Kuon when I'm taking a look at it. So if you're into Japanese horror, it might be something to take a look at. In Nightmare comes out for PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4. Experience the effects of a broken family with the heartache it brings. A young child escapes into a dark, whimsical dream world created from his memories. In his twisted nightmare, his past trauma manifests as terrifying monsters that seek to trap him there, which sets him on a journey to uncover what truly lies within his mind. This actually looks kind of cool. The art style is appropriately creepy. It does look nightmarish enough, but it's not like gruesome nightmare. It's just unsettling nightmares. This might be worth taking a look at. I think it might be worth a playthrough here. I'm going to take a closer look at it after this to see if I want to take a better look, get a hold of it, and maybe even play it on stream. Also out this week, Death Stranding Director's Cut on the PC. From the legendary game creator Hideo Kojima comes a genre-defining experience, now expanded of a definitive director's cut. As Sam Bridges, your mission is to deliver hope to humanity by connecting the last survivors of decimated America. Can you reunite the shattered world one step at a time? I love Death Stranding. I do not need to play Death Stranding again. If I hadn't played it yet, I would be all over this director's cut, but honestly, one experience with Death Stranding I think is enough to last me for a lifetime. And I legitimately enjoyed Death Stranding, but I think a good part of that game's charm comes from exploration. And when you have explored everything, I'd imagine a second playthrough would feel kind of weak. The game that I'm most looking forward to this week, Weird West on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Survive and unveil the mysteries of the Weird West through intertwined destinies of unusual heroes and an immersive sim from the co-creators of Dishonored and Prey. These are people that essentially left Arcane Studios to create their own studio. And they are making a top-down, I shouldn't say top-down, it's more like an isometric Weird West setting. So think Old West, but with like vampires and the devil and Satan and demons and stuff like that. If you're thinking of Deadlands, the RPG, you're on the right track. And it's an immersive sim. All of this sounds amazing to me, and I will be streaming this later this week when it comes out right here at twitch.tv/GamePoints. And then finally, 2 more coming up. Midnight Ghost Hunt leaves early access on PC. Chaotic multiplayer hide-and-seek game possess seemingly harmless objects as ghosts or chase them down as hunters before the clock strikes midnight. This is a somewhat popular asymmetric multiplayer game for ghost hunters going to... It might be asymmetric. It could be actually 4v4. But there's a bunch of paranormal investigators. They go into a house. The first half of the game is them trying to find and catch the ghosts. If they don't catch the ghosts in time, the ghosts become murderous and kill the hunters. I have seen some people streaming this. It looked fun. Not my cup of tea. But knock yourself out. And then finally, Moss Book 2 on the PlayStation VR. Quill is back and she is being hunted. To those who seek to unmake this world are desperate for the glass she holds, and they'll stop at nothing to claw it from her grasp. But the young hero has a plan of her own, one that could finally end the merciless rule of the arcane and restore peace to Moss once more. Moss 1 was amazing. I don't know if I'm going to rehook up my PlayStation VR to play Book 2, however, because it's such a pain in the ass to hook it up. And I'm really hoping PlayStation VR 2 fixes a lot of the rigmarole that goes into setting that bastard up. Because I would really like to play Moss Book 2, and I expect that all that would be backwards compatibility. But considering what we just saw with Sparticus It might not be. I might be setting my expectations for Sony for too high. That does it for new releases, which that means that does it for the show as well. This has been GamePoints episode 330, and thank you all for showing up. We do stream this show live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at Twitch TV/GamePoints, so feel free to join us live like so many of you do. If you can't watch us live, however, this also pops up on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, any number of video hosting platforms. You can follow the show at GamePoints PC on Twitter, myself, Stephen Brown, at CapitalistPig21 on Twitter. You can join our Discord, link provided down below, to be a part of the GamePoints community. And of course, I do stream throughout the week here at Twitch TV. Thank you all for showing up. Until next week, we're out of here.